Welcome to the CountryWide podcast. And I can tell you one thing that I enjoy more than anything is no longer talking about what's coming when it comes to technology, but when it actually finally arrives in a way that is here and now and available to make the boat go faster for our New Zealand farmers. We are talking about Hawkeye Pro, a product from Ravensdown. And my guest on the podcast today is Mike White, the Chief Science Officer for Ravensdown. Mike has had a career with Ravensdown for quite some time and recently came back into this role to be able to, as he puts it, finish off what he started when it comes to getting this technology to a point and the science to be able to roll out Hawkeye Pro. So for those who aren't fully familiar around what is Hawkeye Pro, Mike, but what makes Hawkeye Pro different from what people assume it is?
Thanks, Sarah. It's a real pleasure actually to obviously be on this podcast, but also to get the word out as well around Hawkeye Pro. Well, what is it for a start? Hawkeye Pro really is a combination of, as I said, as you said in the introduction, it's something that Ravensdown's been working on for a number of years around improving technology in application and working there, but then also working on improving the plans that we put together. Hawkeye Pro is a combination. As you know, technology has been moving really at a fast pace in recent years and has really enabled us to bring precision ag basically on steroids to the pastoral ag system for New Zealand. And why we want to do that is because we know globally if we're more precise with our nutrient planning and we're more precise with the way that we put it on, we add a real value to the bottom line. And so that might be reducing fertilizer use, putting fertilizer in the best place that you get a value out of it, and missing some of those environmental areas. So that's where I get pretty excited about it, because Hawkeye Pro is actually the ability to deliver that to our shareholders.
So the latest release is available before the end of February 2026. Hawkeye Pro has been sort of a product that's been developed and rolled out over time for dairy and sheep and beef farming around the country. What's this latest release so unique?
Yeah, it's unique because in the probably last 5 years, we've really been concentrating on that sheep and beef arena because with aerial application. But this release in February allows us to bring that not just to that sector, but also to dairy. And when I say about precision, we're talking around about 10 by 10 meter. So it's 100 square meter kind of precision on a farm, looking at that resolution, looking at the nutrient requirements, that resolution, and then making some decisions, and then knowing that we can actually apply at that kind of scale on our pastoral farms. So exciting. Like I said, put in fertilizer, right amount, right place, at the right rate, but now we can do it across both those sectors, whereas previously we were concentrating on sheep and beef because we knew there was a big improvement. But this February release means that we can do it across the board.
I love the fact that it's got here in front of me. Think about 100 soil tests to the hectare level of precision. So how does it work?
Yeah. Okay. And that's the bit that I get really excited about is we are talking about precision, and we know that doing that better gets a better result. So how does it work? It works by, there's a number of things. And as I said, the technology sort of culminated. We're in this beautiful space where we've been talking conceptually. We've done a lot of ground science over the last 40, 50 years around soil fertility, knowing what our targets should be to maximize pasture growth. So we've got all that base information. So we can bring that into a program like Hawkeye Pro. Then on top of that, we then have what you talked about, soil fertility, so we can do soil testing. But on top of that, we can now start to bring in other data sets like some remote sensing information. We can also bring in better weather data. We can bring in a better climate knowledge of those farms, what we call a DEM, but basically the slope, but really high precision. So 1 meter squared kind of precision as far as how that slope changes. Bring all that information in. And then what's happened in the last 4 or 5 years is that kind of machine learning piece, if you want, or AI is what does that do? Basically, those tools, if you give them a really good data set, you get a really good result out the other end. And so we've joined all of those together to give what Hawkeye Pro is to the market.
So from a 101 perspective, what is Hawkeye Pro? Is it a satellite from the sky? Is it a plane going over? Is it a machine? Like, how does it work?
So what Hawkeye Pro is actually, it's a platform, and everyone talks about different platforms, but it's a platform that can be accessed by our agri-managers that then can pull in all those sort of data sources that we just talked about. Yeah, no, it's not. Yes, it might get some information out of a satellite, but it also gets information, like I said, around what we know of farms, physical characteristics, the slope, the aspects. So we pull all that into a platform where our agri-managers and farmers can also start to look at that as an output as far as nutrient requirements across their farm. And what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to achieve, as I said before, not over-applying FERT where we don't need to, and not under-applying FERT where they can actually get a benefit from pasture production. And then we've got those environmental areas that, of course, we've got a lot better at protecting in the last wee while with buffer zones, etc. And so we pull that into the plan as well. And there it is, ready to be applied, then can be loaded into either a truck or into a aircraft, and all that sort of technology has been developing over the last 10 years where a map now can go into a GPS of a truck or an aircraft. They know where they are in relation to that plan, and then they can.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we've learned over the last couple of years is around, the volatility of fertilizer prices. And so therefore, this is about giving farmers the best bang for their buck by making sure that you're putting, like you said, the right nutrients in the right place at the right time. And what I love about the concept of Hawkeye Pro is that it's about having that mothership that everything is plugging in from a decision-making perspective at the start, right through to application. But also, when it comes to compliance, Mike, a dream come true for councils and farm plans.
You've nailed it. I should have got you to do it. I should have asked the questions and you should have described what Hawkeye Pro was, because that is what it is. It's an end-to-end solution for improving our nutrient application. And yeah, I was just at a conference in the last 2 days, and we've been presenting some of the work we're doing on Hawkeye Pro, because we really want to get the message out there that it's the scientific rigor behind it is strong, or else we wouldn't be offering it to our shareholders. And the compliance or the environmental bit is also, it's really, that conference was picked up because that we know that they were doing that good work. We can record that good work in an application, and it's for people then, we often talk about box ticking, but it's there as part of the plan. So that kind of work is already done. It's incorporated.
You mentioned there about AI, and I just want to pick up on the science element. I can imagine that as we gather more and more data, but also do more and more science, it will continuously evolve.
Yeah, absolutely it will. And, part of our problem is we've got a lot of ideas how we can improve this, and then we have to prioritise what is going to make the outcome for our shareholders. So, but at the moment it's concentrating on phosphorus and sulphur, because we know in the New Zealand pastoral system, P and S are really key for our legume plus our pasture, ryegrass. And so we really want to make sure that those nutrients are precisely applied across both for our pastoral systems. But in the future, we will be looking at potassium. We will be looking at nitrogen applications and incorporating those into this program, again, with that environmental kind of outcome at the end, but also that really driving efficiency across the board as well. So there is a real workflow that we can see that this basically the platform for Hawkeye Pro enables.
Yeah. One other sort of thing that farmers always are really conscious of is how their data sort of talks to each other and can inform other systems. How does Hawkeye Pro work alongside other farming softwares?
Yeah. So look, I think across the board, the New Zealand industry's got a lot more mature if you look at it at a bit of a longer term. And of course, even for Hawkeye Pro to work, we need to get the data out so that it goes into those into the trucks and into the aircraft, as I said. So we're very clear about who owns that data, for that particular farm. And so we're a guardian, but we're also a conduit for where that data should go. And so interoperability into different systems, I think, is just going to improve over time for sure.
For those who are looking at how precision fertilizer can actually make a benefit to productivity gains, have you got any research around that?
Yeah. Look, yeah, that's why I'm grey-headed, because I've spent a lot of time in that research, and making sure that we can add value. Yeah. And look, there are a number of publications, and we're starting now we started piloting the actual Hawkeye Pro piece last year, working with farmers. And so we'll be bringing out case studies to add on top of that. But, in a general direction, if someone wants to know, hey, what does precision ag as a value proposition, what might that add to my bottom line? If we look through all the research that we've done on farmers' properties, it's somewhere around about $50 to $150 per hectare is normally where these case studies end up. Now, every farm is slightly different because they have different characteristics. They may be at the top of the production curve. They may have some more room to move, but that's generally the value gain that we see. Because if we, simply because if we can improve the way that we apply our nutrients and to reduce any over application, and if we've got areas that can actually go a little bit faster by putting on a little bit more nutrient, you're going to get a better gain out of that. So that's why the value is so strong with the product.
Well, absolutely. I can completely understand how that would work when you've got areas that are getting over placement of fertility that is just straightforward leaching through a soil profile and it's a waste of money. So it's putting it in the right place where you don't need it, let alone bolstering up the places that you do and are not getting enough makes a lot of sense. So Mike, Ravensdown shareholders have access to Hawkeye Pro, and what's the best thing? Reach out to their agri-manager?
Absolutely. We see this as a tool that it's going to drive some efficiencies for ag managers so they can do things a wee bit quicker. And what it's going to allow them to do is really concentrate on areas of the farm where that opportunity exists. Can we pull back here, or can we go a bit faster here? So it's really another extension of our agri managers. And so for those that are interested in going down this pathway, and as you said in your introduction, there's no need to wait. It's here now. That next release is coming out at the end of February. And so, contact a Ravensdown agri manager. They're getting very good training on it. And as I said, it's a kind of foundation piece. A lot of the work, the techniques we're talking about, they're doing now with our shareholders, but this just moves it to another level.
If you're a Ravensdown shareholder, makes absolute sense to actually utilize a technology that your cooperative has heavily invested in over many, many years from both technology and science investment. So why not use it? Reach out to your agri manager from Ravensdown. Call them on 0800 100 123. Head to ravensdown.co.nz to find out more about Hawkeye Pro. I've put the links for you in the description of the podcast below to make life easier. But just think about how your farm can move faster with better precision application and understanding of your farm with Hawkeye Pro.